use this for manifestation purposes, okay? Well, it's very important. Where the body goes, the mind follows. So somatic is referring to your body, okay? So it's the way that your body stores information, okay? The somatic system. All right, so where the body goes, the mind follows. Where the mind goes, the body follows, okay? Now, when you're suffering stress, when you are, remember we were talking about yesterday, we were talking about the awareness. We're talking about awareness like this. This was a visual, okay? So awareness expands like this when you take off the stress, when you get rid of anxiety, when you get rid of fear, okay? But the body memorizes this. The body expresses these things, these emotions. Okay, so what happens? Well, if you get enough stress, you get sick, okay? You know people that go, 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 and then they're always sick? Okay, this is the body acting out stress. This is the body expressing negative emotions, okay? The subconscious mind, right? We always talk about that. So it expresses 90 to 95% of, you know, your daily activities. You don't have to learn how to drive the car every day, right? You don't have to learn how to brush your teeth every day. Okay, the somatic system refers to the body's way of storing and expressing subconscious information. Okay, so for example, when you feel fear and your chest tightens, okay, so I'm an asthmatic. I've had asthma for years, and I can always tell when something is stressing me because my lungs start to get tight. I start to get tight chest. Okay, but this is a somatic response. But because I know it's a somatic response, I can remedy it rather quickly through my subconscious. Okay, how do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, so now it depends on how you're going to remedy this. You can speak it away. Okay, you can think it away. You can focus on it and get rid of it. Okay, you'd be surprised how powerful you are as a human being. Okay, and this is what we're here to communicate. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to, I'm here to enlighten you about things. I'm here to share information with you that will help you in your day-to-day activities. Good morning, guys. Good morning. So we're on 7 different platforms every day at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. So I have a chat going on this side over here. So bear with me if I direct my attention over there. We have a camera over here. We have a camera here. We have cameras up there. So we have cameras all over the place. Welcome, join us. So today we're talking about the somatic system, okay, your body. We're talking about the way your body expresses things that you feel in your subconscious mind, okay, things that are stored in your subconscious. So like when you have let's say when you're experiencing shame or guilt, okay, your posture tends to collapse, okay. So when someone is shameful, they're feeling shame, okay, you can see it in their body language. Okay, where the body goes, the mind follows. Where the mind goes, the body follows. Okay, so you can see things in a person's body language, okay, when they become confident. So I see this all the time, right? And this is what cued me into this whole process of stimulating endorphins and oxytocin from the human voice. Because my little kids, 6 and 7-year-olds, were like puffing out their chest and singing like they wanted to fight, that kind of thing. They were so confident, and I was wondering, like, okay, what's doing this, right? This was their somatic response. Okay, so you can also correct someone's body language and make them more confident from that. Okay, so it works both ways: mind, body, body, mind. Okay, so let's say, for example, let's say confidence expands the chest. Okay, lack of self-confidence causes people to slouch, so they'll go like that. Okay, so whatever it is, okay, whatever they're feeling is reflected in their body language. Okay, so you can fix it either way. If you remedy the mind, as far as teaching them confidence, their body language will autocorrect. Everyone has an autocorrect. Okay, much like your word processors, much like your email, much like Grammarly. Okay, it'll autocorrect. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, guys. So the subconscious holds the programs and the body expresses the programs. Okay, once you learn something, okay, once you become conditioned to something, Okay, there's many things that we have become conditioned to in society. Okay, and sometimes we refer to that when groups of people succumb to those things. We call that herd mentality. Okay, because it happens in large numbers, and all of a sudden you have large numbers of people being conditioned into certain ideas or certain actions. Okay, now the reprogramming part of that is, okay, when you replace old subconscious beliefs, okay, the software of the system, okay, let's look at the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The conscious mind is your operating system. Okay, your subconscious is the hard drive where the programs are stored. The superconscious is the network or consciousness or God or that element of it. But for sake of this discussion, we're not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe, but we will reference that as the superconscious. Okay, so your subconscious mind, right? It memorizes everything. It stores everything, okay? But the somatic system, right? The body starts to act out all this stuff. Okay, so in short, what are we really discussing here? What are we really talking about? We're talking about body responses, physical responses to programs that are stored in your subconscious. And it acts out through your body. And this is why stress is no good. Stress will make you sick. Stress will lower your immune system. Okay? And all of these things that happen, okay, are direct responses from the subconscious. So how do you change this? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay? So there's a variety of things, and it's not that you have to do all 4 pillars for every single thing that happens in your life. Okay? But if you have a goal, right? So how does this work in manifestation? Well, it will counter manifest you. Okay, let's say, or work against your goals if you have limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, but you're trying to accomplish something positive. Okay? If you're trying to accomplish something positive, you have to clear the negative beliefs first. Or what happens? Or maybe you get that positive thing, okay? Or maybe you get a little of it, and then everything reverts back. Your subconscious reverts back. So yesterday we were talking about it, right? We were talking about the paradigm and how your paradigm can do a reversal, okay? Paradigm shift reversal, or paradigm shift regression. So it regresses back to how it was before, okay? So let's take a look at your somatic system, right, and how the body does that. So let's say, for example, you feel guilty about something, right? Are you going to have positive body language? No, not at all. So when you learn to read body language, so this is one of the things I teach my executive clients, okay? Because they need to learn these things in real time, because when they're dealing with employees, when they're dealing with subordinates, when they're dealing with people in the groups, or they're having discussions with people, they have to be very aware, number one, of what the impact of what they're saying, how it affects others, and then the impact of what others are saying within the group. What am I talking about? Well, when you observe someone speaking and you notice the group's body language, then you know the impact that they're having on the group. When someone in the group is speaking on a certain topic, you observe the others and go, okay, what's the body language consensus, if you will? And you can tell exactly the sore spots, okay? When you're having a conversation one-on-one with somebody, you notice their body language. You know when to stop explaining certain things, okay? Or when to change the subject because they're getting uncomfortable. Or if they're not listening, if they're not paying attention, you're just wasting your time. Why should you continue? Okay? So all of these things, when you learn how to read body language, when you learn how to really have a conversation, because the majority of our, only 7% is verbiage, okay? Only 7% of our communication is words. The rest is body language. If you adjust a person's body language or teach them how to read body language, to observe body language, okay, to be familiar with the somatic system, you can tell a lot about people. Okay, it's just the same thing as I tell you about the universal law of correspondence. What's going on in here is going on out here. Okay, with the somatic system, what's going on in the subconscious is directly reflected in the body. So if you learn how to observe the body, like I always tell people, the eyes are the mirrors of the soul, the voice is the mirror of the feelings and emotions. Okay, when you know how to read a pair of eyes and you know how to listen to a voice, you can tell a lot about a person. Okay? Likewise with the somatic system. When you see the body expressing things, you know what's going on in the subconscious. So things become very transparent if you're aware. If you're not aware, then you miss everything, And a lot of times, right, we go according to subconscious programming. We're not taught to observe it. We go through it, right? Our subconscious, just, we see somebody we know, hey, we start talking, right? We share information. We're not analyzing. But in a professional situation, you have to. In a meeting situation, you have to. I always tell the story about when I used to go to corporate meetings. It was so funny, right? Because everybody would fall in line with the rollouts. They would roll out policy. They would roll out new things. Okay? And I would just be patient because I knew that in 2 weeks, everything would go right back the way it was again. And sure enough, in 2 weeks, everything goes back. Why? Because the people at the meeting didn't put it in their subconscious. It did not get installed as a subconscious program. So what happened in that sense? Well, the repetition didn't happen. Okay, there wasn't enough repetition. The subconscious learns in repetition. So in other words, if you're rolling out new policy, you have to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to do in repetition for the first 2 weeks at least. Okay, if they're doing it one day, then they miss the next day. They're doing it infrequently like that. It doesn't catch. It doesn't take. And in 2 weeks, everybody gradually goes back to the same way they were before. So the solution, or the perceived solution, is to have more meetings. Okay, when the real solution is to train everybody through their subconscious. Okay, or have them do, right, certain things that will install the programs in their subconscious. Companies don't have time to do that. Okay, managers do that. CEOs do that. But regular everyday employees, they don't have time to do that, nor do they want to. Okay, but reprogramming means replacing. It's not like program like the Manchurian Candidate kind of program, if you're familiar with that movie. But it just means to replace your subconscious beliefs. Okay, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. If you're not thinking the thought actively, okay, then it doesn't get installed as a belief. Then what happens? Well, then you get that paradigm shift reversal. Okay, you go back to the previous paradigm or your previous beliefs. And we talked a little bit about that today. We'll get into it some more another day. But the somatic system, right, refers to the body's way of expressing, the body's way of storing information. Okay, so you can tell when people when they're going through trauma, okay, or when they have limiting beliefs about something and you're discussing something, you can see the reaction in the body. Okay, if you're talking to someone about something that makes them feel guilty, slowly their body language is recessive. Okay, when you mention certain things, the body experiences pain. Okay, stress. Okay, when certain things become stressful, or the topics become stressful, you can see the body language start to reflect that. Okay, so you guys can ask questions. Jody, hey Jody, good morning. So how do you do this step-by-step kind of thing? Well, first of all, you need to relax the body. Okay, deep breathing, proper breathing. Now there's box breathing, there's all kinds of breathing. Okay, We do a certain breathing that really, really works, okay? It's called 369 breathing. So you inhale for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is enough for a full lungs of air, okay? That's 3 seconds. Then you hold it for 6 seconds. Then you exhale slowly for 9. Now, if that's too much trouble, okay, if that's too much hassle, like, okay, I got to remember all of this, just inhale as much as you can, as deep as you can, but release as slowly as you can. The numbers are just guidelines. But when you release as slowly as you can, what happens is you relax the frontal lobe of your brain. Okay? The overthinking, right? The overthinking. You start to relax the frontal lobe. What happens? You feel more at ease. Okay? Meditation is another one. Okay, so do your meditation. 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes a day. Start at 3 minutes if you can't do 5. Okay, but anything is better than nothing. Okay, as far as meditation goes. Your visualization, why is this important? Well, during alpha and theta states, so alpha is an attentive state that your brain is in, okay? It's paying attention, but it's relaxed. Theta state is when you get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, okay, that's when you do these. That's when you do your affirmations, okay? So let me show you. So this is subconscious programming. These are affirmations. It's not journaling. It's affirmations. Okay? Those are instructions. You're telling your subconscious. You're giving it instructions. You're telling it what to do. Okay? But you say it, you express it with gratitude. Okay? Let me get my pen. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Okay? Express gratitude. Write it in the now. I am so happy and grateful now. Why now? Does it happen like that? Not really. It takes some time. Okay? But in 2 weeks, if you write that in the morning when your brain is in theta state, before you have coffee, before you get up out of bed, in 2 weeks you'll feel a shift. And what you do is in the evening you speak it out loud. That's the vocalization part. That's one part of the vocalization. The visualization part is to visualize your goal or what you're writing down. Visualize it. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Bob Proctor said that. Okay? If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. So, at one point I had to test it, so I did this, right? So I saw it in my mind, and now I can hold it in my hand. Okay, this has been online for years. This is still selling online. Okay, but it's not, I'm not here to flex the book. I'm just saying, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. This is just a visual. Okay, if you guys want the book, you guys can get it free. Just message me on whatever platform you guys are on right now, and I will send you the book absolutely free. You'll get a PDF copy of the book just for being here. Okay, so now repetitive rhythm is important. Okay, well, what is that? Well, repetitive rhythm works in your voice somatically. Okay, your voice carries frequency. Frequency is very friendly to the brain. Your subconscious recognizes your voice over everybody else's. So if you're speaking your goals while you're by yourself, not in front of other people, then you don't want them to think you're crazy. But if you're speaking your goals to yourself, your subconscious is listening. Okay, by the same token, we always mention that your subconscious is always listening when you're speaking against others. How does that affect your subconscious? Well, it deflates your self-esteem. It deflates your self-confidence. Somatically, in the body, it starts to reflect that. Okay, so I can always tell when I'm speaking to someone that's suffering from a lack of self-confidence, because I watch their body movements. Okay? And you can observe this when you speak to somebody and you watch their body movements in real time because they're reacting to what you say. And you can say certain things that when you get a certain reaction, you know what you were talking about or what you were mentioning, right? So you go back there, you revisit it, you get the reaction again, you know. Somatically, it affects us. So this is why when people are angry, they have unresolved anger, they get sick. Sometimes they get real sick depending on how much anger they're harboring or how much anger that's unresolved, that they still have deep inside, right? Resentment. We always talk about resentment. Resentment is unresolved anger, but it's a small little dose of unresolved anger. Okay? It's like a small, steady little, signal, right, of anger, small. Okay? And every time you're reminded, what happens? That resentment grows a little bit and you start to feel it again. Why? Because now you're revisiting it. Okay? So you revert back to the feeling, right? With the thought comes the feeling. Okay? First you think the thought, then the feeling shows up. If you stop the thought, you don't experience the feeling. So think about the things that you're resenting. You're going to know that you're resenting something when you think about it and it makes you angry again. Lao Tzu was the founder of Taoism. And Lao Tzu said, hanging on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal, thinking that somebody else is going to get burned. So you don't want to hang on to hot coals, metaphorically. Okay? You want to let it go. How do you let go? Forgiveness. We talked about that the other day. Forgiving is for you. Okay? It's to release you from that bond of resentment. If you're resenting something, forgive it, whatever, or forgive the person, forgive the situation, forgive whatever it is, and you're able to let it go. If not, you're going to hang on to it. Somatically, what will happen? It's going to act out somehow. If it's really extreme, you'll get sick. Have you ever seen people that, they work so much that they get sick? It's not the work that's doing it to them. It's not the work. Subconsciously, it's the stress. People that have stressful jobs, okay, that continuously stress, okay, unresolved stress, unresolved issues, unresolved anger, all of those things. This is why they have retreats. This is why people retreat. It's called retreat for a reason. Okay, you retreat from the daily activities, from the stress, from the busyness, from the involvement, okay? But repetitive rhythm. So what is repetitive rhythm? Well, you can sing, you can chant, okay? Repetitive rhythm. You can recite. The body recognizes rhythm. The subconscious recognizes rhythm. And right before you go to sleep, what can you do? When your brain is in theta state, just like as you wake up. So when you're on your way to sleep, or when you're waking up, your brain is in theta state. We haven't done brain states in a while, but we'll do it again soon. We'll do a live about that. But the two states that are very productive for your subconscious is alpha state, okay? When you're paying attention, when you're extremely focused, but you're relaxed. Or in theta state, when you just get up or when you're just getting ready to go to bed. So that's when you write your affirmation. In the morning when you get up, you speak it out loud before you go to sleep. If you want to write it before you go to sleep, that's even better. So what happens is your subconscious works on this overnight. It's like you installing a subject, saying, okay, let's think about this. And it could be, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm having a great day. You're writing it in the present tense, but you're going to sleep. And guess what happens in the next day? You feel better. Okay. You feel better. Why? Because you're having a great day. You have predetermined that you're having a great day, and your subconscious works on this all night long. Or I am so happy and grateful now that I have extra time. I am so happy and grateful now that I have extra money. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm having a great time at work. So when you get to work, you've already prepped yourself for work. So I used to do this a lot because I had to come up with comedy bits like this, like, you know, I had to think on my feet, which was very difficult. The people that I worked with knew, because I had ADHD and my brain jumps tracks. It does that naturally. Okay, it goes from one thing to the other thing to the other thing. It's kind of like watching the news when you see the camera. First camera goes on, second camera, third, back and forth like that, and different angles and whatever. That's what an ADHD brain does. That's the H in the ADHD. So I had to be relaxed at work. Okay, relaxed in a sense. There was coffee was involved, right, for energy, but the thinking has to be relaxed. Coffee actually helps people. So when you see people with ADHD and they're drinking coffee or they're smoking cigarettes or, nicotine's involved, that kind of thing, it's actually a calming effect for them. So coffee helps me to focus. But then with the energy part, it helps as well. But I had to think of all of these comedy things. So I had to be very quick thinking. That wasn't too bad because of the H in the ADHD, right? But you need clarity as well. So meditation was necessary for me to come up with, whatever I came up with. But always in the morning when I first got up in theta state, I had to prepare, right? If I knew I was going to be on in the morning, sometimes I'd get a last minute text and then have to just go in. But sometimes I, knew in advance and I used to write the affirmation. And sure enough, in the morning, boom, okay, the answers came. So if you ask your subconscious a question, it's obligated to answer you. If you want the answers to things, the answers are in here. Okay? The conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are states of awareness in you. It's in here. Jesus Christ said, the kingdom is in here. He said that for a reason. All of your answers are in here. But you have to go within instead of without. Okay? When you go out here looking for answers, you go out here looking for solutions, you're being distracted. There is no out there out there. The only thing out there is nature and things from someone else's in here. That's it. So if someone else's ideas are out there, like in a library where you have a collection of books, the library is an incredible volume of other people's in here. Okay? And a reiteration of knowledge. Okay? And it keeps going and it keeps evolving. So this is why every single subject you can think of has evolved over the years. So how do you get the most out of your subconscious? You start asking questions. If you function more out of your subconscious and rely more on your subconscious and more on intuitive thought, you'll probably go to therapy less. You'll probably have better ideas that will actually work because now you're getting intuitive thought. Okay? I'm sure you've had intuitive thought, right? You get these ideas and then you don't act on them because you go, well, that's kind of crazy idea. No, I'm here to say, trust your crazy ideas. That's all I do. And that's all I do is trust my crazy ideas. And yeah, a lot of people go, wow, Uncle, he's kind of off the way he's thinking. Because it's a little too deep for them to grasp. That's it. Okay? Because we've been conditioned as a society to believe certain things. But these certain things that we've been conditioned to believe provides a very good avenue for commerce, a very good avenue for consumerism. When you start believing the Cinderella story and you start operating your relationship like the Cinderella story, men try to be the knight on shining armor and make their women so uncomfortable by putting them on a pedestal they have to leave. You know what I mean? Like they can't take the pressure anymore, right? They have to leave. So I'm just saying, you have to be aware of what's propaganda and what's not. And it's very difficult to discern if you're not in tune with your subconscious. if you're not in tune with the kingdom within. Okay? Religion helps. Religion does help. Okay? Man's interpretation of things is a little questionable because it all depends on who you ask. You can go to 10 churches, hear 10 sermons about the same thing, and they're all different. And they're all different perspectives. Because every single one of those guys standing at the pulpit is giving you his interpretation of the creator of everything, right? So yeah, that gets a little sketchy too. Okay, so discernment is necessary. Going within is necessary. How does somatic work within the subconscious help you? Well, it helps you because it's an indicator. If you're slouching when you sit down, if you go to a meeting and you're kind of hiding, you're kind of doing this in the meeting, something's wrong. If you're talking to somebody and you notice that your body is doing something either defensive or withdrawing somehow, you know something's wrong. You know that there's something that you don't like about this. You just don't know what it is, and you notice it in your body. So you correct it. So when you are, trying to remedy these things, right? Breath work is important, vocal toning. That's what we do with our clients, vocal toning. It fixes everything. It clears you up. It provides clarity. It takes away anxiety, guilt, fear, shame, all of that. But it does it through frequency. And that frequency, that pressure through frequency, stimulates the hormones, oxytocin and endorphins. It also increases GABA levels. It does a whole bunch of things. But what it does immediately is make you feel lightheaded. Okay, and that's the symptom. So I always ask my clients, like, do you feel lightheaded right now? Yeah, okay, good. And in a couple sessions, I go, wow, uncle, this is amazing. I had this psychiatrist, right? And he did it for a month. He couldn't continue because of personal circumstances, But at the fourth session, I asked him, I said, do you feel the shift? He goes, and this guy is a brain specialist. He works with the brain, right? And he goes, yeah, I feel a shift, but I can't put my finger on it. Okay? Because they don't teach this in college. They don't teach these things. This is holistic. This is about the human being. Okay, but when you do the research, you find it. So on our website, we have links to all the white papers, all the medical research. It's all the scientific research. It's all on our website. And you can see it. It's called The Science of Confidence. You press the tab and you'll see it all. And it's all there. Because what I seek to do, just for me personally, is to pass on this information. Okay, there's an old saying, about singers and musicians. The saying is, don't die with the music in you. So I don't want to die with the information in me. So here you go. Okay. Now, what about other things that you can do for your somatic system? Emotional anchoring. Okay. The subconscious learns best through emotionally charged affirmations. Okay. Whether they be spoken or written. Okay, but write your affirmations. It's very important that you write your affirmations. Because when you write your affirmations, it goes straight to the subconscious, to memory. Okay, so while I'm at it, I'll give you the formula for memorization. You ever have trouble memorizing a speech or memorizing something? Write it once, speak it 3 times. Write it once, write it out, whatever it is. Write the speech out, but you have to write it by hand. A lot of people just type it out. Right? They'll type out the speech and then they'll forget, parts of the speech or whatever. So write it out, because when you write it, you'll see it in your mind. And you speak it 3 times. So write the speech out by hand, even if it's 3 pages long, whatever it is, just write it by hand. Take the time to do that. And then read it out loud 3 times, and you'll commit it to your subconscious. And when you're reading it, Okay, read it with enthusiasm, with emotion. Then it goes straight into your subconscious. Okay, that's just a little side thing. But when you have new beliefs, right? When you're trying to install new beliefs into your subconscious, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay? When you're trying to do that, use emotion. Be expressive. Okay? Be enthusiastic. And these things will go into your subconscious very easily because you'll remember the emotion. Your body somatically remembers the emotion. And it will start to express this. How does it do this? In various ways. But you'll feel it like my little kids, 6 and 7 years old, back in the day at the studio. They're standing in the middle of the room and they're puffing their chest out and singing like they want to fight. And I was like, what's doing this? So in 2007, I had to do the research because I thought it was interesting. And I didn't know that I was making a mistake in the training. Well, it wasn't really a mistake, but it wasn't the way I was trained. I was having them sing as strong as they can, and I didn't know it was triggering hormones. But then I found out, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's increase that, right? So we do that now. We get results like the first session. But what happens is, if you want to use this as a visual, by the end of the first session, the energy has opened the muscles up a little bit. So the person begins to open up a little bit. And we call these cycles, because we don't call them treatments, because we make no medical claims, but cycles of this. So 1 hour once a week, right, begins to open a person. And what happens when a person opens? They don't only open with the muscles, okay? Somatically, right, where the body goes, the mind follows. Where the mind goes, the body follows. When the body begins to follow, guess what happens? You become open, more open. Your body language is open. When you sit down, you take up space. You're open. You just open as a person. When the mind becomes more open, right, your body becomes more open. And all of a sudden you realize, wow, I'm sitting bigger. I'm becoming bigger. But you're becoming bigger here. But it's just reflected somatically in your body. This is really handy in dating, okay? Guys, okay? Be big. You know, for a while at my school I was saying be big. That was the slogan, be big. Okay? But it's a metaphor, but it's true. You have to be big because the alternative is being small. Okay? So we think of words like timid, okay, suppressed, okay, being small. When a human being is being suppressed, they only can be suppressed for so long. Okay, a good example is, you know, have you ever been on a ranch? Have you ever seen videos of cows that are penned up all day long? When they open the gate and let them out, they're jumping all over the place. They're kicking, they're running, right? Because of the energy that's been pent up all day long. They've been cool all day long. They haven't been able to get the energy out. So in a human being, it's not that extreme, right? In a human being, you know, people don't really do that. And some kids do that maybe, but yeah. But somatically, it's expressed to the body. Whatever you're going through in the mind is being expressed in the body, even though you're not aware of it. So when you become aware, more aware, okay, and you can sense these things, you know, oh, I'm sitting like that. Why am I sitting like this in the meeting? And you straighten up. You straighten up on purpose, okay? Sometimes when you hear good news, you notice, you just kind of perk up like that, right? It's affecting you simultaneously, somatically in your body. Okay, posture change. Posture change is another one, right? Intentional posture change. So sometimes when I'm working with someone with their voice for confidence, right? So I have two sets of people. I have people that want to use their voice for singing purposes, and I have people that are using their voice for confidence purposes with the life coaching. But either way, either one, if I'm not getting the response I want somatically, I correct their body language. I say, okay, here, stand like this, sit like this, do that. And now I do it online. And it's effective online. It works just as well online as in person. The only thing is they're on camera and they're not standing next to me. And I tell them, stand up. All right, stand like this. Put your head up. Let me show you something really, really quick that can help you, okay? So your head position straight is like this, right? Straight, okay? Take your head put your head in the straight position, straight ahead, and go like this. Just tilt up a little bit and hold it. Just hold it. Notice the difference in the feeling? Okay, try it. Hold it like that. Now, if you're like this is arrogant. You don't want to do this, okay? But from here, you just want to do this much. That's it. Now, when you turn your head from side to side, okay, we'll give you guys some somatics here. When you turn your head from side to side, it's like this. Think of your chin as the pivot. So you're going like this, you're going like this, you're going like this, you're going like that, but you don't dip your head. People that suffer from low self-esteem will dip their head a lot. They'll put their chin down. Okay, when they're walking, they will look where they're going. They will look down. Okay, if you're confident, you're not looking down. If you're confident, you're looking ahead. And to train yourself, right? Try looking ahead, okay, and glance ahead. So you're glancing at least 3 feet in front of you while you're walking, but you're keeping your head up. This will improve your self-esteem. Where the body goes, the mind follows. And when you turn your head, swivel this way, swivel that way, but don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Try that. That'll work for you. Okay, that will work. Emotional anchoring is the process of anchoring an affirmation or anchoring an idea with emotion in your subconscious. That will affect your body somatically. Okay, so reprogramming is just not a one-time thing. Okay, you can't just write one affirmation of, oh, okay, I'm programmed now. The subconscious learns in repetition. Just remember that, okay? So, write in repetition. Does anyone have any questions? Let's see. Let me check, because sometimes I miss the questions. And then Jay takes a snapshot and gives it to me after. Creative Moon, good afternoon. Oh, yeah, good afternoon. It's morning in Hawaii, but yes, good afternoon to you. Okay, anybody else? Let me see. I'm just scrolling through the comments. If we have any, I'm checking for comments. Okay, so we're on 7 different platforms, so I don't see any. Okay, if you have any comments, just write the comments, and Jay will pin the comments. Okay, so you can have, do, or be anything. And with technology, it's even easier. It's even easier. And with AI coming out, it's even easier. But first, you have to do it here. You have to be who you want to become here first, and then it will materialize out here. The universal law of correspondence. What goes on in here will appear out here. So it's very important to remember. Now, your subconscious learns in repetition, but it also repeats programs. So it's almost like a loop scenario, right? You program the loop, and then it just goes on automatic pilot. Good morning, Darlene. Nice to see you, sweetheart. Hi, Cooper. Good morning. So repetition and consistency is important. So I like to use the word consistency. How do you, okay, here we go. Satori, good morning. How do you stop same recurring thought about punishing persons who did absolutely wrong? Oh, okay, I see, okay. Yeah. So, oh, Darlene, you don't have to call me sir. You can call me Junior. Okay. Good morning, I Cooper. Okay. So Tori, let me address that. Okay. What you're talking about is being vindictive. Okay. That's very bad. Um, so, in order to change your thoughts, just say stop when you start to think of that thought. Okay. Um, I used to be in the same boat, so I understand. And I used to have this conversation with one of my mentors years ago when people did something wrong to me, right? And when you're in the right? And so people used to do wrong bad stuff to me, and I used to tell my mentor about it, and he goes, no, 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 don't strike back, don't do that. See, because what happens is, right, Satori, when you strike back, you're setting up the next event. Okay, every action you do sets up the next event. The tone of the action, okay, so your tone of voice, whatever, will prompt an emotion from the other person. So this is why emotional intelligence is so important. Because with emotional intelligence suggests to us that, when we're responding, we respond intelligently, okay? Even to criticism, even to somebody who's yelling at us, right? So you become the observer, and this is what we've been teaching, to become the observer so that it doesn't pull you in. You get that gut feeling, right? And you get pulled into something, and then you engage. And when you engage, you join, okay? When you engage, you join. And what's really bad is when you join, and whatever you join with, whatever energy you join with, will pull you in. And when you engage, right, you become what you're engaged with. So if it's anger, someone can suck you into anger. Okay, so first, when you get the thought, because the emotion follows the thought, okay? So when you get the thought, say stop and switch your thoughts. Okay, so what I do is I have a vision board. I have a vision board on my phone, and these are just actually this is my gratitude board. So this is my gratitude board, things that I'm grateful for. I have my company logo. I have my book over there. I have other things, and so I'm always reminded to be grateful. So when I have a thought, let's say it's a negative thought, I say stop in my mind, or sometimes if I'm by myself, I say stop out loud. I pick up my phone and I look at the things I'm grateful for. So maybe you can do that. Okay? So just stop, pick up your phone, look at your phone. Use your phone as a tool to help you. Now, the other thing about the vision board or the gratitude boards is when you're expressing gratitude, you will receive more. But you have to be grateful for what you already have. Okay? So by doing this, and it's a multi-purpose thing. It helps you when you're thinking bad thoughts about somebody or something or some situation, okay? And then you can switch your thoughts, and then now you can be grateful, or at least see something you love. So if it's your family, if it's your baby, if it's your significant other, or your mother, or your whatever, grandparents, whatever it is, and do that. That'll work as well. Okay, so use your lock screen to be productive, to help you. Use your phone as a tool to help you, not just for amusement, not just for communications. Okay, so you do have gratitude journal. Yeah. So okay. So writing down your emotions. Yeah, that's okay. Let me tell you about writing your emotions. If you're writing down positive emotions, write them down. If you're writing down negative emotions, don't do that because you're reiterating, right? You're reiterating that bad feeling. Okay? When you're writing down bad, like I feel crappy today, or I feel depressed today. Okay? What you're doing is you're cementing it in your subconscious. So you don't want to do that. Okay? Gratitude journal is very good. Okay, I am grateful for, I am very thankful for, I am very grateful for, and then make a list of things you're grateful for. That's great. But don't write down your emotions if they're negative, only positive emotions. So that's why I tell people about journaling. People don't understand about journaling. If they're journaling about the drama they had, okay, if they're journaling about things that went wrong at work, okay, or they're journaling, let's say they're venting when they journal, Okay, venting is normally negative because it's things that you're upset about. Okay, if you're journaling like that, um, then you'll need to rip it up when you're done. Okay, it's an expression of getting rid of it. But if you're just writing down and keeping it in a journal and keeping it tucked away or whatever, under your pillow or whatever in your drawer, then what you're doing is you're cementing it into your subconscious. Okay, when you rip it up, like some people say, okay, you write down the things that are frustrating you, then you burn the paper. Okay, that's a little extreme. You don't need to do that. Okay, but you can rip it up and be done with it. That's one way psychologically of dealing with the expulsion of it or getting rid of it. Okay, but when you write down your emotions, only write the good emotions. Today I felt happy. Today I felt excited. Today I felt whatever. Okay, but don't do the opposite because you don't want to cement that into your subconscious. Okay, there you go. You can ask me more questions. Feel free. So basically, we went through somatic subconscious programming today. Okay, and how you can train your body to make you better. Okay, positive body language. Okay, sit down in a confident manner. Okay, like right now I'm leaning on my chair like this because it's comfortable. Okay, but I should be sitting up. I should be sitting up like that. But I'm leaning because it's comfortable, not because I'm feeling bad. Okay, but if you find yourself slouching, if you find yourself sitting somewhere and you have to ask yourself, am I sitting like this because it's comfortable? Because some people slouch because it's comfortable, right? They just kind of sink into themselves like that. If you're doing that at a meeting, though, okay, you need to think about it, right? Maybe you don't want to be at the meeting. Maybe the meeting is a hassle for you. Maybe there's people in the meeting or coworkers or whatever, right, that you don't like. I had to work with a lot of people that I didn't like, but I had to work with them. Okay, they're coworkers. They're not friends. They're coworkers. But you have to deal with these things. Okay, but just know that when you're feeling bad, your body will reflect your feelings. Unresolved trauma, unresolved anger, unresolved negative emotions will show up in your body language. And if it depends on how severe it is, okay, but unresolved anger can make you sick. This is why it's important. It's important to forgive because forgive releases all of that. This is why forgiveness is divine. Okay, there's a reason they say that. Because when you release things that you're holding against others, you release it from yourself as well. Okay? So I got into the habit of releasing people out of my life. All right? And it started with coworkers. It started with coworkers that were just not worth my time. And so I just let go. It's easy on social media. You can just block them, right? You don't have to deal with them anymore. You don't have to look at them, whatever. But a coworker, you have to face, right? You have to see them at work. You have to, But once you put them out of your mind and you train your subconscious to just deal with them in the moment, when they're not there, they're gone. At this point in my life, I haven't been around a corporate environment for years. And I've forgotten most of their names. Why? Because I'm not thinking about it. Why? Because I had to forgive. Okay? When you forgive, you release. If you're holding on, remember what I said about Lao Tzu, right? You're holding on to that coal thinking that somebody else is going to get burned. And you're the one that's getting burned. Slowly over time, okay? It's a small little undercurrent. Okay, it's a small little undercurrent that's happening. And slowly over time, it affects you. It will affect you mentally. It will affect your body somatically. It will affect your decisions Why? Because it becomes a subconscious belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. And so, Satori, if you're thinking about, you're welcome. You're very welcome. If you're thinking about, retribution, getting back at somebody, revenge, all that stuff, then yeah, that's not good, because it's it's occupying your mind, okay? And your paradigm will reflect what you believe. So let's look at the subconscious tree real fast, okay? So the roots of the tree are your subconscious beliefs, your core beliefs. So what do you believe? Okay, you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself. It's a bunch of soul searching, because you have to really understand what it is that you believe. Okay, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way you're a believer. Okay, but yeah, subconscious. Okay, the trunk of the tree is your paradigm, or the way you see the world, your attitude, how you see things, how you go about things. Okay, your thought process based upon the roots, what you believe. The fruits of the tree are your actions. So the fruits of your tree are the actions that get you results. So you can change, you can do a random action and get a random result. But if you want lasting actions, in other words, if you want repetition, okay? If you want consistency, if you want to, let's say, I don't know, succeed at something, and you want to be really, really good at it, you commit it to your subconscious. Your subconscious affects your paradigm affects your actions give you better result. And this is why they say, you know, insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. You'll never get a different result, okay? Because your subconscious beliefs have not changed. So how do you change the beliefs? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. This is manifestation. Manifestation is not magic, it's not witchcraft, it's not black magic or voodoo or anything like that. I've had Christians tell me, fellow Christians tell me, "Oh, that's demonic. That's demon stuff." I'm like, "No, everybody has a subconscious." Okay? So there's a lot of, there's and I think it's because a lot of people have tried to make this more mysterious than it is. So I'm out here telling you the truth. Okay? Everybody manifests. Look at your life. Look at the things in your life. Look around you. The things that are in your life that you have right now, the friends that you have, the family that you have around you, everything that you have around you is a result of the decisions you have made. Your children, okay, what condition are your children in? Are they respectable people? Are they, right? All of that. But this is a result of who you are, because you manifest who you are. You can manifest the things you want. There's a process for that. Ask, believe, receive. The belief part is where most people fail. They know how to ask. Everybody asks, right? "Lord, please bring me a new car." Okay? But then they question. They go, "Oh, I don't know if I'm really going to get a new car. I don't know." For me, I had to trust. I had to have faith the first time. After the first time, the second car was easy. The third car was easy. Fourth, fifth, I've lost track already. The first one was in 2007. When I get in my car today, I still have new car smell. I lease now. I lease because I'm losing too much money buying new cars. So I'm just saying, right? So maybe that's what you should focus on. If you have hang-ups about money, if you have hang-ups about, "Oh, I don't know about the money part," you have that fear. If you have that fear, maybe you should just write an affirmation for new car smell. Where's my pen? Here we go. "I am so happy and grateful now that I only have new car smell in my cars. Thank you." There you go. Solution. Okay? Think it. Meditate on it. Write the affirmation. Speak it out loud. Okay? Then it will become a belief in your subconscious. When it's a belief in your subconscious, it will be a part of your paradigm, which will influence your actions, which will give you better results. Okay, Jay is over here going, see you tomorrow. Thank you, you guys. We just and thank you guys for the follows. Thank you for all of that. Um, yeah, thank you. And we saw a lot of our friends. Satori, thank you for being here. We appreciate your questions. I Cooper, Darlene, our regulars. We love you guys. Thank you for being here. Okay, so yeah, every morning 7 a.m. Hawaii time. Okay, it's 8 a.m. Hawaii time right now, so you can mark your calendars and put it in your notes. Okay, we're gonna say goodbye to our